Okay, everybody, it's 7 o'clock. We're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to call the meeting to order. Let's go ahead and do roll call. Brendan, you want to start us off?
Brendan Tiedemann, Ward 2. Travis Burrs, Ward 1.
Nikki Oyen, Ward 1.
Deborah McIsaac, Mayor.
John Hughes, City Attorney.
Ryan Sending, Ward 2.
All president accounted for.
Great.
Okay, let's go ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance, everyone. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, thank you all for coming. We are going to move to approval of the agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to move lot 74 for the BADF discussion from old business to new business.
It was a typo, just so y'all know.
Second.
And so we have a first to move and a second by Ryan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. So item F, lot 74 goes down under new business. Okay, any other items on the agenda, or are we ready to approve the amended agenda?
I'll approve the amended agenda. Make a motion.
All right, we got a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All right, we got Travis and we got Ryan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, agenda is approved. Let's go to the minutes from the last meeting. The last regular meetings from September 13th. Is there anything that you guys need to take a look at from that set of minutes?
I read through them and they all seemed accurate to me. I'll make a motion to approve unless anybody else has anything.
Second.
All right, back to Travis and Ryan again. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then the motion passes. Minutes are approved and ready to go. Okay, I think they're still,
So
but don't they have to approve them first?
yeah,
So they need to approve them first
Yeah,
and then we approve them.
they should have approved them now.
Okay,
Yeah, that was wrong.
and so, so new business next time we'll be approving the minutes. Okay, perfect. So we will approve P and Z next time.
Yeah, planning and zoning approved them.
Yep, and then we approve them. Okay, so claims payable. That's your pink sheet for anybody who's following along. And any questions on that?
Nikki brought up a good point. Is this the last month for the mowing?
Difficult, not, I called him.
To tell them to stop?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. I'll make a motion to approve the payables.
We have a motion to approve the payables. Do we have a second?
Second.
Ryan, you're Mr. Second tonight.
Mhm.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Claims payable are now approved.
We received one more bill from them for their winterized air sprinklers.
Oh,
They fixed it for us in the summer, it was all winterized.
Perfect. Okay, public time. Yes, Zach?
Zach Nevin, 413 Brigham Avenue, just looking for an update on Fifth Street. Anything been done on that, or I mean, last time you mentioned there was some engineering work being done, I didn't know if there was any.
Sure. At this point in time, I believe ISG has done some surveying on Fifth Street. And so there's still discussion with, within the whole realm of the development of trying to figure all that and get that all nailed down. But as soon as we have more information, you'll definitely be updated as an adjacent landowner.
Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. Any other things on public time? Yeah, Jerry?
Greg Peterson, 520 South 6th. You know, we're gonna mow that corner of 6th and Mobley.
I don't know. Ask the gentleman sitting next to you.
Yep. We'll take care of it.
Thank you, Jerry. I love it when I can answer questions that quickly. That's really nice. Any other items for public time? You guys are being easy on us tonight. Thank you. So now we have a public hearing at 7, it's supposed to be 7:30. Do we need to wait till 7:30 for that then?
Yeah.
Okay, then we will wait, and as soon, will you flag me at 7:30 so we can switch over to public hearing? Okay. Lacey, will you let us know when it's 7:30? And then we'll do the public hearing at 7:30, okay? I'll try to watch. Okay, so is that public hearing involving the resolution 2022-11 then?
Yeah.
Okay, so then that is tabled until 7:30.
No, I'm sorry, no. Yes, it is, I'm sorry, yeah. 2022-11, and that is,
So A and B under public hearing needs to wait until 7:30 to do that because it's under the public hearing
yes.
portion of the agenda. Okay, so we're going to table A and B until 7:30, and we'll pick those two items back up in case people are coming to attend that motion. Okay, so now we are moving to old business, and so we have a council position recommendation. And so as we know in the last meeting, Brendan Tiedemann was kind enough to let us know and give us ample notice to step down from his position. And we do have a recommendation for that position. And so Brendan, I'm not sure do you have anything you'd like to say before we make the recommendation?
Appreciate the time that I've had here.
Well, we appreciate you for doing that. Yeah, lots of hours on Brendan's part, and we appreciate all you've done. I do have a gentleman that has agreed to be voted on for the appointment of Alderman Ward 2. It is Mr. Brian McGreevy. You would know him from all sorts of different activities around town. You've lived here how many years now?
Just shy of 20.
Just shy of 20 years. I don't know if that's enough. I don't know. We should probably check the ordinances on that. And so Brian was gracious enough to agree to take the interim position for Ward 2 until the upcoming election, which would be in April. And so that is the recommendation I have. Do you have any questions? Feel free to grill them if you want to.
Yeah.
Any questions?
No questions.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve my recommendation for Mr. Brian McGreevy for Ward 2, Alderman position?
I make the motion to approve Brian McGreevy as represent Ward 2.
Perfect. Ryan, I get a first.
I'll second that.
Nikki's got a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. McGreevy, you are going to be official pretty soon. So do we need to swear him in? What's that?
Of course, I gotta run right away.
How does that work?
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Thank you very much.
You bet. It's been a pleasure.
Good luck.
Make sure you keep him on speed dial.
Oh, we can probably, I mean, I could do it. Probably.
He can probably wing it.
I could
So
probably.
Mr. McGreevy, come on up. Come on down, you're the next contestant on The Price is Right.
Ryan, would you please raise your right hand?
Your other right.
Oh, wow.
Do you solemnly swear that in connection with the appointment as city councilor, alderman of the city of Baltic, South Dakota, that you will solemnly and faithfully carry out the duties and obligations of that office, and do you swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the state of South Dakota, the South Dakota law, and all the ordinances of law? All right.
There we
Here's
go.
more. Linda, you'll mind having signs as well, too, when you get a chance.
Okay. Good. Move it along.
Perfect. Okay. So now we're on to the fun stuff, Brian. Buckle up. Okay, here we go. We're going to go to resolution, 2022-10 front footage assessments. We do have the resolution, and then we do have a little chart here. So the resolution, which was available on the website for everybody to look through, basically determines the amount of the assessment for linear front footage. And so what this is a fee that is paid by all citizens for the care of streets. And it's based on how many linear feet you have in front of your house on the street. And so Linda, I believe, and Lacey were kind enough to do a little bit of research for us. And so there is this lovely little graph. Have you seen this?
Lovely.
Yeah, isn't it lovely? And so basically what it does is it's divided by the fees paid. So we can see who is in what category of how much fees are being paid. And so there's some people that are way at the top. The majority of the people are, middle towards the bottom, and then there's a couple of people with longer property lines, so therefore their fees are larger. And so with the larger frontages, you'll see that they listed them out, so you can see who those people are. And so I guess I'm going to open this up to discussion to, go ahead.
Okay, so you can see 3/4 of the citizens pay under,
$61 to $100.
yeah, 81.
Annually.
Yeah, so they pay under 100. 3/4 of the citizens pay under $100. So there's just a real tiny sliver up there that pay over $300, and I've listed those down below. Because that question came up, how many people were paying a big amount and how many were paying, smaller amounts. So roughly 3/4 pay a small amount or a smaller amount.
Well, and what you don't see here, but what you'll notice is a lot of these are commercial lots. They're like industrial lots or they're commercial lots, or it's the fire. The only personally owned lots is John McCaffrey, because he has that huge corner, and then Rodney Dockman, who coincidentally is just a couple houses up from him, that goes up along the railroad. And both of those are on Second, I believe. Is that right, Ryan?
That's correct.
Yeah, that's Travis.
Yeah.
Travis is right in the middle.
Right in the middle.
And so where is Bryce Pomrecky? Do we know where that is?
Right out there by the river.
Oh, okay, and so then the
Along.
White House by the river, that's always, yeah, okay. So those are the individuals that
Joel
are
Hazel.
built. Well, and Joe Hazel, but that's also agricultural land, right?
Yeah, but I think, is he still charged a frontage?
It's on the list, yep.
So he does pay a frontage, I think, down Viking.
Okay, so he pays that down by King.
Where are
So,
the apartments?
what's that?
The apartment buildings, where are they in this list?
They're on frontage, so they're on Third, yeah. I don't know if their frontage is that terribly big
They're
though.
pretty short actually.
Yeah.
They're deep. More
I would imagine the Oak apartments probably pay more than they do because the Oak is on the corner.
Corners don't matter though,
Oh.
because it's only your front.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's where this conversation started, because there's,
Mhm.
yeah, that's where I try to make my point, was there's, all the corner lots get relief from paying on both corners, whereas a long frontage lot is not responsible to pay for the entire frontage, so. That's where my questions come from, of what's there.
The reason I ask is when we were talking about everybody, no matter how big their frontage is, has the opportunity for the same usage of our streets, but they're not paying that, so an easy example would be people who are apartment dwellers. They still use our streets. Yes, the apartment owners pay something for their frontage, but not near the amount for the number of families or people in that property that are using our streets.
That also goes for people that live in a cul-de-sac, like myself. You have a very
Yeah, but I
narrow,
pointed you out last time.
I know. There's narrow frontages
I
for
don't want
those
to say
people.
I'm picking on you.
Yeah, that's okay, I can handle
I
it.
know you can.
And so Travis, I guess what I am trying to understand, you're bringing this up because you would like the council to consider a different billing method, or are you looking for variances for those that have, for individuals who have extensively long lots? I mean, help me understand where you're going
Yeah,
with this.
I just want the conversation we had to understand both points, because there are 100 corner lots in town that get relief. And when there's 3 residential lots on the high end that don't, that's where I want an open conversation between everybody I think there's a better way than what's being done currently, just by measuring one end of the property line to the other and saying this is your bill. I think to a certain extent, commercial property should be responsible for a higher amount because they do have more traffic that is on the roads regardless. I'm more than welcome to hear everybody else's take and what they think, but that was one point that was brought to me. There's a very few long property lines that they feel like they're getting overcharged for how much they use streets. I'd just like to have some discussion on what maybe a better way to maybe perfect this equation a little bit would be.
Travis, I'm gonna layer on top of that to give you guys something else to think about. All three of those properties are basically from where you would call Old Baltic.
Yeah.
They're almost original plots of the city, all three of those properties. And so there's room for consideration, you know, based on how lots were drawn back then as opposed to how they're drawn now. It would be reasonable to consider a cap, if you would.
Yeah, limit to something.
Any other thoughts, council?
Well, to put it-
Yes, Ms. Finance Officer.
When I went through the other cities, I do believe I saw something in, I don't remember which state, but where there was, there was a cap. Also, I saw the fire department was on this list, and I didn't understand why the fire department was on here. When we give them money and then we charge them money, it doesn't make much sense, you know. So we would give them a contribution, and they had a pretty hefty assessment.
How much do we contribute to the fire department?
16,000 a year.
Or, well, that shouldn't be max, we're going front end, the front end on the one side, the corner on the other side of the corner.
You give them 20.
So then the other point of discussion is whether or not we would waive the fire hall fee to be exempt.
Have they ever looked at exemption?
I don't know.
They should. I don't know.
And-
They may be
We don't
exempt.
have
With the,
We don't?
can you exempt them on an assessment like the schools?
I don't know.
Because this would be
Yeah.
an assessment, not.
Good point, yeah. I have to look at it.
And then would you, you want to set a maximum, what would you do a minimum for like the false tax, the one with only 40 front footage? You
So
know,
Ryan brings up a really good point, because if we're gonna consider a cap, then should we consider a minimum?
Oh, yeah.
So then there's that.
Kind of.
And me, honestly, probably being one of the smallest frontages in town, more than likely. It would definitely, I'm all for it because all of us use the streets.
What I've seen in other communities for that minimum is use what your subdivision ordinance says for minimum.
66
frontage,
foot.
66
I'm
foot.
a-
So use that as your minimum basis,
Hmm.
just for consideration for what I've seen in other communities.
So then it'd be a minimum of $66, which is the category that most people pay.
Almost.
Generally,
Because 81 to 100 is
you
160.
did increase.
So basically, you get rid of the $1 to $60 fee and bump everybody up to the 61
Yeah.
to 80, and it'd be 66 would be the least amount on this graph is what that does. So it basically takes the blue pie and adds it to the orange pie.
Setting your minimum would basically counteract reducing your maximum to a certain extent without knowing exactly what your numbers pan out to be, who pays what. If there's 57 people paying $59, obviously that's a little bit different, but if you've got some that are only paying $30 or $40 on your front feet, if you set a minimum of 66, but then cap it hypothetically 200, just throwing a number out there, what you gain in your minimum, you're losing that.
Receive on the end,
Yes.
back end.
Well, I
Very
definitely,
rough numbers, obviously. That's
yeah,
fine.
I agree with you. I agree with you. So it's kind of,
What are you thinking?
if we put a cap and that amount gets reduced, it will probably be made up by the minimum billing. So when you take the royal blue people and you move them into the orange, the additional funds that we collect from that should offset the reduction in funds for setting the cap.
Okay, so if we make any changes, we'll have to have a special meeting, because this has to go to the county November 1st. It has to. So,
What
For
does
taxes.
what does it entail to change how this is? So we would have to rewrite a resolution, is what you're saying?
Yes.
So
you
if
wanna
we-
rewrite that?
If we write it now and we approve the verbiage and all you have to do is type it up, then we should be okay?
Yeah, I'll have to type it up and redo the first one.
Essentially changing your number one to add a limit at the end of your front foot basis.
So council, are you in favor of rewriting the resolution, or are you in favor of having a special meeting after that has been calculated a little bit further?
I'm not in favor of a special meeting, but that's, depends, I guess, if you guys think you have enough information. I mean,
So Travis, I'm just trying to clarify for my own self. So if you do away with category one, which is $60, and you move those people into the next group, which is 61 to 80, is their increase going to be $1?
well, that's what I'm saying, I don't have a numerical
Depends.
order of who.
Whatever
gets
their
what.
charge is, like, let's say minus 20 feet, I would get adjusted to 66 feet, which is, we would set as the minimum. So I would go from 20 feet to 66 feet, and I would pay
$66.
$66 instead of my 20. So everybody in the 1 to 60 group would get bumped up to 66. Whatever their linear feet is would be adjusted accordingly. So the bottom minimum would be 66, no matter what across the city.
Yeah.
And then we just have to figure out what the cap would be.
100% exactly, but I mean, it gets us in the neighborhood.
Yep.
Yeah, there's some at 44.
So if we do that, then all we have to do is amount of the accessory dwelling per front foot with a minimum of 66, right? And then a maximum of, what would the maximum be then?
That's the next question.
So Travis,
What?
when if we set the minimum at 66, which would be an ordinance frontage, minimum frontage, then what do we believe is a reasonable cap?
That is a great question.
So you have to go to the $300 one, because then you're gonna start getting into that next bracket. So that the person that's in the 17 that are in that, they'll be up to they could be up to 299, 300. So.
Yeah, how I initially thought of it was if, I always compare these long lots to corner lots. If you take and cut the long slot in half, there's a benchmark to start with, because the biggest corner lot is gonna be comparable to that. That was, whether that's right, wrong, or in between, that was just the easy way that I initially started the conversation. So whether you wanna go higher or lower, it's up for discussion, but that was how I initially.
And then you're going to consider if they're commercial or if they're personal.
I think commercial, I don't think you touch. I think you leave commercial.
So we cap, or
That's
we,
why, when I initially started cutting you off, but what I initially said was that it was referring to residential lot.
so you have 9 people that are above the 300, but if you back them down to the cap of 300, the adjustments, I mean, are $50, $100, and, you know, 179.
So are you gonna make that up with, yeah, you're gonna have to measure these lots.
It'll be.
Oh,
I
we
mean,
have the-
I
we
rough,
have the
I rough
measurements.
guessed it on GIS one day, and it was, I mean, like 90% of the lots in town are between 66 and like 80 feet. I mean, there's not many more that are longer. The old part of town's really the only time you ever run into it. It seemed like, but
So do we want to, based on this discussion, what I'm hearing is we want to set a minimum of 66, but a maximum of 300, is that what I'm hearing?
I'm not sure on my
The fees are
opinion on the
300.
top yet.
Well, let's talk about that. Linda, when you're looking at that category of 161 to 300, those 17 people, how is that? Can you
They're gonna
read
be in
those
the
7?
bottom.
Do you have the calculation of those 17 properties?
I just wrote down the 301 that he's 30,
Okay,
301 in my.
so 3 of those are actually, those are up in the 9 category. So the next one is the, you know, a max cap of 300, which still is, you know, some savings.
Yeah,
Be interested to see how that tier of 17 in it broke down. I would have to think it'd be towards the lower end, but it's all guessing at that point.
Well, one thing that we could do is we could pass this resolution with a cap of 300, and then we could do more research and then figure out what makes more sense next year, for next year's resolution. Or we can table this, have a special session before the end of the month, because it has to get to Minnehaha. So it just depends on, or we could leave it as is, whatever you guys want to do.
Well, to be the devil's advocate, you're gonna try to make 3 to 6 people on the top end happy, but piss off 57 people.
And that's a good point, but
That is true.
I still think that from the logic that everybody uses the streets,
I understand that.
and, and like, for example, I'm gonna end up paying what, $40 to $50 more in fees, but I use the streets just as much as anybody else. And so $66 a year to help with street repair,
I just really don't think there's that many below $66.
57 people.
At least.
They're probably all in your ward, Ryan.
I'm just speaking out loud,
I'm kidding you.
looking
Just
at it
kidding.
from all sides.
Mr. McReady, you're being pretty quiet. What are your thoughts?
I'm learning.
We all are.
No, I know this is common in North Dakota, they call it a special tax. And, I mean, it really just comes down to footage, some win, some lose. Cul-de-sacs being the primary state in North Dakota, especially half cul-de-sacs. But builders will build to that, if you've been in the area, and you've an existing home, it's different. Right?
So are we gonna have some more discussion, or do we want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to leave it at the front foot basis, but make it a 66-foot minimum. And I suppose we call it a 300-foot maximum
For residential.
for residential
Only, yeah.
dwellings.
So we have a motion on the floor.
Travis, were you going to include your thought about waiving for the fire department, or is that going to be?
I don't know that that's something we really want to, I don't want to dabble into it. It all equates itself out anyways. It's just an extra step one or the other. I don't know if we don't need any extra verbiage and stuff and such, to just leave it as it is.
I agree.
Does this impact ag at all? Not residential?
Residential.
R1 lots,
What's that?
so it would be, the adjustment would be for R1.
In fact, the way I worded it, it would not change ag.
Make a motion to amend this draft resolution.
Travis, would you like to make a motion to amend the draft
Yes, I'll
resolution?
make a motion to amend drafted resolution. Do we need a separate one for,
No, we just say with the minimum assessment of $66 and a maximum assessment for $300 for R1 lots.
you go by 66 feet or do you go by 300 or $66?
I would do
I would-
$66 is the minimum fee.
It's a
So it's
dollar
$1
a
per
foot.
foot, so I think, I would personally word it by foot.
Well,
That way, in case you do your increases and whatnot, you're still.
so
going
you're
off of
you're
your
fronting a
foot,
street of $1 per front foot with a minimum charge of $66.
Well, he's saying that if
I'm
you change
saying
your
go
fees
up-
in
go
the
up
next
the
year,
feet.
$1.25, you're at the 66 foot. and
You're
if
still
assessed
being
$1,
assessed off the 66-foot minimum, which is a lot.
No,
minimum.
you have to
Sense to
raise your
amend
fees
it
for some
there
reason.
as you're pointing out.
It's- Right, as it's written right now, it's the exact same thing, but as future situations arise and dollars amounts change, then we don't have to go and rewrite the verbiage. That's what I'm
Put
thinking.
as provided below. And then boom.
So what John is recommending is in paragraph 1, it says pursuant to the CD or SDCL, all lots in the city of Baltic fronting a street shall be assessed on the front foot basis as provided below. And then it has amount of assessment, or as provided below, $66 minimum, $300 maximum, but then the amount of the assessment is the number 2 item on the resolution.
And you could just do a semicolon here and put provided that the minimum assessment shall be $66 and the maximum.
Oh, okay, so that makes sense.
7:30.
7:30.
Oh, okay.
Wow. Like being in a
So,
car shop.
what John's recommending is saying designation of lots to be assessed, just adding on the back end of line item number 1, just as provided below, because number 2 is going to detail out the amount of assessment, which still holds true the dollar per front foot. Then at the end of that paragraph, put provided that the minimum fee is 66 and the maximum fee is 300.
Just put a semicolon after original
Fee on
plat.
fee.
Fee, the maximum or assessed fee. Isn't it a fee? Levy, a levy.
Yeah.
The minimum levy is 66 and the maximum levy is 300.
I think when you
Right.
have to change it the next time, you just change that minimum and
You're gonna have to change both those numbers, that
Every-
$1, 125, or
Right.
whatever, and then at the same time.
But at least it's in the
something
same
that take the
paragraph.
125 times the 66 foot to get your.
Right. I'm just saying, is it easier just to not have to change the foot?
because you'll have to change it to change your dollar amount, so I think it's all gonna be at the same time, you're gonna be writing that. So if we stay at $1, this resolution
Right.
stays, we don't have to
Yeah. Great.
change it until you change the verbiage,
Yeah.
and you're gonna change.
Yeah.
So then I think you just change it to that, it's, yeah, the $1.25, you take 66 feet for the minimum,
Okay.
times the $1.25. And then you'll get a new cap, you'll have to
Right.
change your cap too.
And that all, the way you suggested it, Travis, keeps it all in paragraph 2. So it's defined by the amount of assessment. So let me read this to you one more time to Travis, make sure that I got it right, okay? So the designation of lots to be assessed, it has everything intact as it's stated, but then it says as provided below. Then it has amount of assessment, everything else stays intact, but you end the paragraph with a semicolon, and it says provided that it is a minimum levy of $66 and a maximum levy of $300.
So to keep Mr. Roberts honest,
Yes,
there should be a motion to approve this resolution as written, and then it should have a second. And then there should be a motion to amend it, as you just read, Deborah. And then you vote on the amendment, and
okay,
then you vote on the resolution.
I got it, okay. So, so we will need a resolution to approve 2022-10.
And,
Do you approve it pending amendments?
yeah, just move it, and then it should be seconded, and then it's up for discussion.
Okay, so let's go ahead, do we have a first to approve the resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2022-10 pending amendments. We doing that way?
Sure, that's fine.
Sure.
I'll second that.
And then Nikki is a second for pending amendments. All those in favor?
Aye.
Well, you don't need to do that.
Oh, okay,
Oh.
You just, you have it moved, you have it seconded, and then we have discussion,
okay,
and then Travis can move his amendment.
So as amended, I'll make a motion to approve the amendment to add on in section 2 for a minimum of $66, a maximum of $300 fee.
okay. So now we have on the table an amendment to resolution 2022-10.
Yep.
As he stated, to add the as provided below at the end of paragraph 1, and at the end of paragraph 2, a semicolon that says provided that there's a $66 minimum levy and a maximum $300 levy. That is what Travis has on the table right now.
Yep, do have a second. That's what you want to do, is call for a second.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, I got Travis on the first, and I got Nikki on the second. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The amendment is approved.
So then you can now
Now you can
take
take
up the resolution.
Now we can type up the resolution, and we're good to go.
As amended.
You want this, Linda? Okay,
I have one more, issue.
yes,
I noticed when I was going through these lot by lot, that there was a couple that did not pay or had never been charged. David Dice on the highway, MNMW LLC, the lot beside it. The Baltic Development Foundation, which I understand why they don't pay. And then the thrift shop. So I don't know if in the past they gave them special, I don't know what happened.
Travis,
Why
do you
they are
recall
not
any
paid.
I
exemptions?
do not recall anything of such, no. I don't, honestly, I don't know that I've seen this detailed of a conversation on this topic either, so just bear that in mind.
So then did you find that the people on the north side of Lovely that own those lots, they paid
Yes.
frontage fees, but it's just the south facing lots
Just
that did
those.
not?
2 lots, yeah.
And I imagine what happened is that in the last 2 years, that was all owned by the lumberyard, and all three parcels were sold in the last 2 years. So I imagine the adjustment was not reported to the county, and it was probably just a simple clerical error is what I'm guessing.
Okay.
Just for historical knowledge, so y'all know what happened, because it was January of 2021, or somewhere in that area, where that's when all of those lots, lumberyard put those up for sale. And then people were snatching up. That's when Dice bought them,
It's been earlier
remember?
than that, though, hasn't it?
I'm pretty sure it was around 2021 when that was all happening. Because that's when you did the sealed bid for the land, because all of it was getting snatched up.
Dice's was already owned.
Oh, you're right. It was probably in
That
2020
was-
because Grunwald was mayor when the city bought that lot. And the lumberyard still had the middle lot. That was bought in 2021 by the MLM or whatever. And then Dice bought that. Dice bought it either in 20 or
The city
21.
bought the lot just before I came on, I think, so that would have been late 20.
So
Dice bought his
point,
18 or 19.
yeah, so point being, it was probably new because it was built to the lumberyard. When the lumberyard turned it over, then we didn't add those to the frontage reports, is what I'm guessing happened. So Linda, are you suggesting we make adjustments, or are you suggesting we just make sure we get them on the list for this year?
Well, I think basically, yeah, we need to get them on the list. And the thrift shop, I mean, it doesn't say they're exempt. It doesn't say anyone's
Is there anything
exempt.
like D&D Market, is that still listed in the?
No, it's listed as the church, and the other church pays. I mean, it's listed as a church from Del Rapids.
The church from Del Rapids owns
Yeah.
it.
I would
But
probably,
they're not paid.
So the question is, do we remain consistent with frontages or do we grant exceptions?
well, I think I would make a phone conversation with them, just saying, hey, here's what we've uncovered. Any
Yeah.
idea why this might be, if this needs to change? I would certainly think all those 3 lots should be paying.
Oh,
There's no
yeah.
reason why they shouldn't be, but I still think I'd do the
Due
gentleman's deal
diligence.
to call them and say, hey, by the way, realize you haven't been paying this the last few years, or last year, whatever. Just, if I was in their position, I would want that phone call.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so does the council want to consider retroactive billing, or do we just want to deal with the current year that we've discovered it?
I just start now. I don't see any reason to retro out.
Any other feedback on that?
Start fresh, and just.
Perfect.
Figure it out.
Again, Linda, thank you for finding and fixing so many things at City Hall. Thank you. So I know we don't have to vote on this, but I just want to be clear about what we're going to do. So Linda, what you're going to do is you're going to reach out to those people that haven't been billed, notify them that they haven't been billed, and let them know that they will be billed for this year, and you're submitting the paperwork in November. Okay? Perfect. If you have any pushback or anything that we need to know, just bring it to the next meeting so we're aware. But, okay, very good. Anything else on that? All right, we're at 7:30. We need to go into public hearing, correct?
Yep.
So do I just say we're now officially in public hearing? Do we have a gong for that? Okay. And so we're going to address Resolution 2022-11, mowing assessment roll / nuisance. Looking for that.
Yeah, this was our first code enforcement issue. There was 2, I had numerous complaints about 4th Street. They weren't mowing the right of way along the street, and it was really bad. And one property mowed or tried to weed eat it, the other property did nothing. So the guys mowed it down, and they were billed $125, which they were told they would be if they did not mow. And So then, under the regulations, I have to have a public hearing and a special assessment roll. This is the only item on the roll, and this will go to the county and be levied against their property taxes. And so that's the process.
Does anybody have questions about the process first? Does anybody have questions about the situation or the details?
No, it's about time.
Which property is this?
Up
It's
top of the
called-
hill, just south of the water tower
Oh,
on Ford.
everyone's old
Fort
house.
and Moorfield.
Been like that for
Yeah.
a long time.
Okay. So do we need to vote on the
Just
resolution?
approve the resolution.
So do we have any more discussion on this item, or do we going to have a motion to approve this resolution?
Can you open it up for public comment, or is
Sure.
that just assume?
Yeah, and when I say discussion, that's anybody that wants to.
Right, I'm just saying for a public hearing version, if you need to physically open it up.
Oh, do we need to open it up for any pro comments and then
John,
for
Yeah, John.
con
I
comments?
think
I don't
you're doing
remember.
what you need to do.
Okay, so is there anyone that wants to make
So you
comments or?
mailed a bill form for 125 for the fine,
Yeah, I sent them a letter.
and then when was that?
You see, this was, it happened in September 6th, it was mowed. So they got a letter prior to that and a letter after that.
And there's
Yeah.
no response.
No response. And just to be safe, we put the letters on their door to make sure they got them. You know,
Yes, sir.
So does that include the corner up there that, you're going with the top of the hill, right?
Over here on Fourth Street.
Yeah. Where that park is that
No,
the southwest corner of that park, I guess, mowed either, I don't know.
Brian, can you?
You're on Third Street, right across from the old school.
Yeah.
So here's.
Nordic Field, it'd be the Nordic Field up that embankment.
Community garden.
Behind, yeah, Mullins, Roger Mullins' old place.
Well,
So
the
right here.
Roger Mullins land wasn't mowed either.
no, Moorfield, right
Well,
here.
this would be the school's property.
This is
No, but-
315 Moorfield,
Oh,
right
that's
here.
not.
Their
in the
side
backyard.
wasn't
Along-
mowed either.
Along
Oh.
Fourth Street here, along that ditch, hasn't been mowed for over a month. It was at least 6 feet tall.
Not 6 feet, but it
But
had.
I mean, it was, I mean, my gosh, it was bad.
That's right across from the trailer, old trailer court.
Yeah, this is the trailer court. Here's the water tower.
South.
Yes, yep.
What about
Is
that
this
corner
the
of
same
park?
place that has all the old vehicles?
No.
No,
Schools.
no,
It's-
it's,
Eleanor Moon's old place.
I think, I suspect what's
Eleanor
happening,
Moon's old house.
Deb, I suspect what's happening is it's a pretty steep angle on that ditch, so I think they just let it go instead of cutting it, is what I'm guessing happened.
Should have
Yeah.
stuck around it.
Because it is pretty
it's,
steep.
it's a steep ditch.
But it's been maintained in the past, and for whatever reason, it's not being maintained now. So,
Yeah.
is that accurate? So, any other questions about that? Or did that answer your question?
Yeah, you got that.
Any
So
other
for
que-
code enforcement to happen, does it have to be a certain size plot that's weedy? Or how's that
It's
determination?
the height of the grass.
Height of the
8
grass.
inches.
So
Isn't it?
if you have a noxious neighbor who has an old garden that they just let go to weeds and grow,
Mhm.
they could actually be assessed for that old garden that's
After you've gone through
maybe the
the,
size of this room.
well, it would be a matter of notifying them that that's something that needs to be taken care of, and then going through the process and giving them the opportunity to correct it. And then upon that landing on deaf ears, then the city takes it upon themselves to do it, and then we assess them, which is typically a normal protocol for most things, right? And
What's
so
the time
that's,
period then on that?
what is the typical time period? It's probably a 90-day,
yeah, it can get pretty lengthy.
yeah, so, yes, that gives,
Meanwhile, everything grows.
Yeah, keeps growing.
that's right, that's right. So any other discussion?
If not, I'll make a motion to pass resolution 2022-11.
Okay, so I got a motion to pass resolution 2022-11 for a special assessment roll. Do I have a second?
Second.
Travis is the first, Ryan is the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes, resolution is going to move forward. Okay, and then the second one is the final review of plat lots 4A, 5, 6, and 7. Let's get to that piece of paper.
That is also resolution form. So it's just a simple public hearing and then passage of the resolution.
So to recall, lots 4A, 5, and 6 of the Baltic School Second Edition, that is the north trailer park, correct?
South.
South trailer park, I don't remember. Thank you, Ryan. So that's that, right above on the hill, on the backside of the school, that is being replatted to have multiplex residential units on it. And I believe the plats were submitted to P&Z. P&Z did approve. And so now it's moved to council to approve so we can file that with the county and let everybody know that it's approved.
And the proper right-of-way was
Thank you.
put in.
Included with the proper right-of-way, as we know, was a lengthy discussion. Any questions on that? Any discussion on those? Do we have a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve.
All right, Ryan, you're going to do the motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Nikki's going to do the second on the resolution to approve the plating. Do all of those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Linda, if we can, if I can try to sign those tonight, those resolutions, the ones that are already printed, if I can sign those tonight, that would be great. Okay, catch me before I leave, okay? Okay, so that is the end of our public hearing. Okay, so now we are going down to, where are we at? We got the frontage for, we're going to garbage. Okay, so 2022-12, it is the night for resolutions. So we have 20-12, which is establishing the rates and charges for both residential and commercial solid waste pickup. For those of you who want to have a little bit of background on that, we've capped out on our current contract because of fees for diesel fuel. And so in order for us to sustain this program as we have in the past, we need to adjust our rates. And so if I understand correctly, we're currently in a net loss situation with the current rates as is. And I think we're losing at about $400 a month, I believe, right now with the current rates. So we need to adjust it. And in the past, we've made upwards towards 30,000, is that right? Upwards towards 30,000 annually as a revenue source to help offset. Just so you understand, when we bill for garbage and we do those water bills, that is something that we provide the labor for, we provide the postage for, we do that. And so that we need to, don't we incur that cost? And so then that's an operational cost for us. So in so charging a fee, it's really could be viewed as recurring the time and labor and postage that we spent getting that back.
That has, as far as I can tell, the garbage has not paid their share of those fees
Okay.
in the past, as far as I can. All they've paid is the contract price. There hasn't been money delegated for wages, postage, software.
And so people understand it's basically a pass-through model. We have that contract, but then we take on all the labor, all the postage, all the organizing, all the questions, all the phone calls, all the customer service, all the auditing of utility bills to make sure everything is current and correct, any collections that need to happen, you know, in being able to execute that and collect all monies and efforts are done by our staff. So that is another very logical reason to make sure that we have offset that time for that service, and that is done in these fees. And so I know we've talked about this a couple of different times as far as what that would look like. And so I believe this is the proposed rates now, correct?
Yeah, I just went up $5 on everything.
Bless you.
Extra large family, I don't know who has 3 totes. That took like the biggest hit because it went up $15.
Is there anyone that you're aware of has 3?
No.
Okay. Okay,
But the dumpsters, I wasn't sure, so I just went up $5 on each dumpster. I
okay,
didn't know if I should go up more depending on size or not.
okay. And again, as a reminder, when we were looking at our garbage services, they are much less than, because we negotiated as a city. The fees are much less as if a resident came in and got their garbage fees on their own. So we are definitely being very economical with the taxpayers' dollars in doing this at scale. So that way people are getting a good service for that money.
I'll bring the same point up I did last month too, that with garbage and water was 50,000 cheaper
Yep.
per year than
And
the other bid
Know
we
that.
got, so we've got it pretty good.
With the $5 increase, what does that mean to say?
It's about 20, was it 20, or no, 21,000 something, I think.
Yeah,
profit was what it
but
equates
that'll
out to.
go down every year because
Right.
the fee goes up from garbage and more for the next 3 years.
Deal fuel prices. will come down,
$4.
Percentage comes back.
Okay.
So that will go down, but at least we're not losing.
Unless miraculously our fuel rates go down,
Yeah, that'll help.
then that might adjust things. We're not sure. And so, do we have any discussion, any questions about this? Are we ready to make a motion?
Make a motion to pass resolution 2022-12.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to pass 2022-12. Do we have a second?
Oh, go ahead.
I second it.
Ryan, your first second, how exciting. Okay, so we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Well done, Brian. Your first motion was done over garbage.
Makes it memorable.
It is memorable.
awesome.
Okay, so now we're into fence ordinance. I don't know if I am. Oh, we were gonna review the fence ordinance because of the couple that was here last month. And they were having questions about, is that ordinance, sufficient? Is there anything that needs to be changed on that? Is there any way, Lacey, you could get that fence ordinance up for us? Just so we could take a look at it and see if there's any adjustments that we want to do at this time? And I apologize, I have not followed up with those citizens yet. Have they done a temporary solution that we're aware of at all, or?
No, they kind of were started on a permanent fence. and
Right.
I think they haven't done anything like.
Okay.
on our side yet, so.
Okay. But we said that we would review this at this meeting because they brought it up last meeting. That's the right thing to do. So let's take a look at it. So I think we need to go find more fences. Or is that it?
No, there should be there's a whole section.
There's a.
Actually, I just cleaned out my binder section. Fence ordinance.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, give me some numbers. I didn't have that.
It's there.
It should be green. Green,
The green one?
green.
Ed wanted to look at that, correct? I mean, planning is only wanted to review.
Yeah, I was gonna make that suggestion too.
Well, that's what I say, do you guys wanna make a recommendation on what you're looking at? That way it can go back to planning and zoning. Because if planning and zoning makes a recommendation and the council's not a government, then you might, so it's kind of which way do you guys want it?
Sure. Let's just take a quick look at it and see if there's anything that stands out. Do you remember the number of it, Ryan?
12.08.
Yeah.
Yeah, 12.08.
12.08. Thanks, Lacey. Just go back to the, do we know what title it was under?
Well, it should be.
There's no title 12.
Yeah.
I think we're looking in the Baltic ordinances, and we should be looking right under zoning regulations.
Oh, there you go. You know what? Then you're right. It should go to P and Z first.
Yeah, it should.
Okay.
That is where the fences are. And, this book that we get, it's pretty standard for all small cities. So unless someone has changed things, this is pretty much the rules
For,
all over.
as I say, Colton has it,
Mhm.
Crooks has it,
I
and
mean,
they might,
put that together properly.
Seahawks.
Seacog, there we go, sure.
So because that falls under P and Z's purview directly, do we want to refer it to them to take care of in their next meeting?
I would make it, so P and Z make a suggestion to the council on that.
So you would like to make a motion to table?
Well, we're gonna these.
Could make a motion to refer it.
Okay.
We're back on it.
So Travis, you can make a motion to refer it to P and Z.
I think by default it does, doesn't it, or not? Do we need to, I mean, I'll make a motion to refer it.
Well, what it does is it takes it off our agenda if we refer it.
Oh, yeah, I'll make a motion to refer the fence ordinance. review it
Okay,
as
Travis
P&Z.
is gonna make a motion to refer the fence ordinance discussion to P and Z. Do I have a second?
Not everybody wants.
I'll second it.
Brian, you're on fire. And so we have a second here. All those in favor say aye.
Hang on,
Yep.
are we going in circles now?
Now you're going to P and Z because,
I know, but they just sent it here.
We didn't send it here, I think there's a.
no, we were the next meeting after that. I don't think, because we said,
So I'm combining two meetings?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's okay, it's in the DSM.
So what had happened is they came to the P and Z meeting. And then I said to the citizens, we would review it. And now the council has decided that they're going to refer it back to P and Z. So P and Z is going to review the fence ordinance because they were requesting a variance, not
Right,
reviewing
at
the
A and Z.
ordinance.
Right.
Okay.
And it was discovered the variance they need wasn't just one point, it was three different.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah.
So then it was just a flag of like, maybe we should look at the ordinance just to make sure. And so it's so what the motion on the table is a referral to go to P and Z to actually review the ordinance, which has not happened yet.
You're talking pretty fast over there.
You want me to go slower?
Well, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ryan can only
So,
go so
I can
fast.
so
only go so
currently,
fast.
there's a motion on the table that we are going to refer the fence ordinance to P and Z because the P and Z has not looked at the ordinance yet. They were just looking at it through the lens of a variance.
You see the daggers.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Just want to make
And you
sure
have
we're
a
clear.
second.
Okay, we have a second. Are we, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Then we are sending that referral to P and Z. Would you please add that to our agenda?
And I'll give them some other references.
That'd be
from other
great.
cities,
Thank you, Linda. I appreciate that.
So they can look.
Okay, so now we're on to more fun stuff. Ordinance 304, which is our appropriations ordinance. This is something that's required for budgeting purposes. And so based on our budget discussion, and Linda was kind enough to put together a very simple, high-level budgetary bucket. And so does anybody have any questions on the appropriation ordinance that sets our budget for 2023?
I made a mistake down at the bottom. And
Yes.
I put 2018, total 2018, it should be 2023.
And then also on the back, it says dated this day of, oh, no, that's right, never mind. I don't know what year it is, don't mind me. So, do we need to amend this? So we're gonna need someone to approve the ordinance, and then we'll have to amend it, right? We have to approve it as
Well,
amended?
this is the second reading, so you could just move to make the change.
Okay. So can I have a motion to move to the change?
Make a motion to change the total 2018 appropriations to total 2023.
And to approve with that change.
Yes, and to approve ordinance number 304.
So to amend, or excuse me, to approve the change and approve the ordinance wholly. I have a first.
Second.
And we are at Travis and Ryan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Linda, we're good to go. Okay. For the item F of lot 74, there's two different discussions we have to do, and one of them warrants an executive session, so I need to pause for a minute, and we're gonna run into executive session.
Move
So,
that.
We got the new business.
Hmm?
That's when you move.
Has been moved.
Yeah. we moved to-
oh, good. Okay, well then we'll go into executive session after new business. Sorry. Thank you. Service line payment dispute, Carrie Sells.
She's not here.
And so she, do we vote on that, or because she's not here, it's not under dispute anymore?
Well, she just said, I think she's she's not gonna be able to make it. So I think just move to the next.
She wasn't able to make it this evening. Okay.
be put on the agenda again.
Okay, so can I have a motion to move her dispute to next month's meeting?
I'll make a motion to table it.
Thank you. All right, can we have a motion to table?
A motion to table.
Ryan is a first motion to table and a second.
I'll second.
Travis is a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so we are going to table that item that goes into old business of next month. And then code enforcement, yes.
Did you want to look at that? Or did you not? That was
Under
just-
ordinance 304, you skipped over the tax levy breakdown.
Oh,
I just did a simple breakdown of where your tax dollar goes.
Oh, so that's useful.
But you don't need to approve it. but-
Yeah, this is just for informational purposes. You'll see this in your packet, right? It's in the packet, and so it's just a visual, so you can see where your property taxes do go.
Good information, Linda, thank you.
school was doing theirs, and I had actually broke down how it works.
So thank you for that, Linda.
School account. You're good.
Does anybody have any questions about that? So a lot of people, or what I understand is people, when they complain about their property taxes, they don't really understand where the property taxes come from. And so your property taxes are a combination of different tax levies. And so what Linda did is made a visual so you could see how that breaks down. And so if I understand correctly your graph, Linda, we have Minnehaha County is 20% of the, of your taxes. Rural fire is 0.8%.
Yeah.
The library, we pay 1.8%. Water district is 0.001%. The city of Baltic is 18%, and Baltic school is 58%.
Yep.
And so so when you have per entity, the blue is actually the school, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so just so y'all know, per entity is actually Baltic school. And so that's where that comes from. And so the city receives basically the 18%, correct?
Right.
So 18% of property taxes.
So I did just an example on a $300,000 assessment, and out of about $4,500 taxes paid, the school would get about the city would get about 800, the school 2,600. So just a rough estimate to show you how it works.
And
these are for this year's figures, not next year.
Sure, and then one thing to note is our rural library. That's a fantastic amenity in our city. It comes directly from the Sioux Falls Library, and you can actually order books. You can get online and order them, and they deliver them. I think it's like 3 times a week they bring new books or orders or something along that lines. So it's like having a Sioux Falls Library in Baltic, which I think is a fantastic amenity. And of course, we all love our firemen. So does anybody have any questions about this breakdown or how your property taxes are configured? Yes, sir.
You probably should say Sioux Land Libraries, because it's a joint with Minnehaha
Thank you.
County and.
Yes, I'm sorry. It is a Sioux Land Library. So it's a joint thing between Sioux Falls and Minnehaha County. Thank you very much, because that's
Not
very
only
accurate.
that, but you can do interlibrary loans outside of Siouxland. through
Yep.
Siouxland. So
It's like
Universe.
having a fully functional library in our little town of Baltic. It's fantastic. And Kathy Faith does an amazing job of staffing it. And it's my understanding that the daycares use it readily. So it's really a great service that a lot of people don't know about. So, and that's fantastic. Linda, thank you for making this again simple. We appreciate you making our lives simpler like that. Okay, anything else I'm missing, Linda? Are we good to go?
You go.
On to code enforcement discussion. So at this stage of the game, we've kind of tossed around code enforcement and what to do about it. And what we really need to discuss tonight is which direction to go. We have a couple of different options. One, we have the service, the service that is the business that, I'm going to be very vague about this, I have to find his email, that actually does code enforcement. They do like over 50 cities across South Dakota, and all they do is code enforcement. That's their business model. They have about 4 guys that go around. They're assigned a group of cities. And then a lot of people have that standard code enforcement that Linda just brought up. And then they help us go over our specific or customized ordinances for the city of Baltic, because there's variances and not variances, but there's different ordinances with every small town, because every town is different. And then once they have an understanding of our ordinances, then they would go ahead and do the enforcement of that for us. So it would be decentralized from City Hall. The second way to approach code enforcement is to hire an individual, and they would be a contractor, and that they would oversee that. That is primarily the way that we've handled code enforcement in the recent past with Baltic. Bill Pearson was both the building inspector and the code ordinance person. And so that's how that has been handled in the recent past.
But he was an employee.
Oh, he was, but I thought it was an employee. He was an
Yeah.
employee. I thought he was a contractor, but he's not. He was an employee.
He was an employee.
So he was an employee. And so that turned me to my third one, where it would be an
Yeah.
employee at City Hall. And so I guess that's the same category. So we can either hire somebody to do it, or we can hire a business to do it. And those are our choices right now. And we need to know what direction you want to go. Do you want to hire a business to do our code enforcement, or do we want to find an individual? That's the discussion at hand for this.
And I'm gonna just say right now, probably with winter coming in, the main thing would be sidewalk violations. And I think right now we'll be kind of slow. I mean, it's the slower part of the season for that, where yards aren't gonna be growing, where there's gonna be the noxious weeds and nuisances like that. People parking where they shouldn't park should be all taken care of for this season, hopefully. So I mean, we can look at it right away, or you want us somehow to look into more things. I know Linda's been doing very well with kind of doing a loop through town and kind of bringing up some of the topics right now, and it's not too much for us. She'll take care of the paperwork and stuff. It's just kind of, the office does a lot of the legwork right now for everything, so.
And we do have an employee who has experience.
Does he have interest?
That is the one he has more interest in than building inspections. So.
Okay, so we have an employee that does have interest in code enforcement and does have experience in code enforcement. Okay, so that's good information. Any more discussion, council?
I'd be more inclined to lean towards that and hire a business to come through. That doesn't really seem like it's the path that I want us to take.
Okay.
Just not saying that, I mean, I've never met these people or know what they do or how to do it, but it just doesn't seem like a road I want to go down. I mean, we got somebody in-house that can do it and that is willing to do it. There you go.
Something we can work on, and then if it becomes with time crunches, if we get too busy where it's not feasible for us, we can subcontract it out too.
Are you suggesting table this, then talk to the employee?
Yeah, yep, kind of doing it. I think we will,
Because right now,
slower part of the
it's not
season.
pressing.
Correct.
Yeah, late spring is more pressing.
So we have some time to decide. So what I'm hearing is we're going to table this, and Ryan's going to do some due diligence for us.
One thing, this thing we did tonight with the assessment roll, that's rare to have to do that, because usually people panic when they see that dollar amount and they take care of it. So I had to call Brandon and find out how to do it, because it'd been so long I forgot. So usually people will take care of it. When they see the dollar amount, they'll be charged.
Mhm.
So, I mean, this was lengthy, but it doesn't happen a lot.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Any other discussion? Do we have a motion to table then?
I'll make a motion to the table.
I'll
Second.
Oh gosh, I don't know. I think she said it first.
It don't matter, he can have it.
So to table, we got Travis, and then we have Nikki.
Or Ryan.
And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's tabled until next month, and Ryan, you'll do some due diligence and help us square that away. And then we're now to Grant Park and Phillips Crossing update. Gentlemen, do you have anything you want to add?
We've been working hard, and so have you, and we really appreciate that. I think we've come a long ways. We're hoping to clear some hurdles tonight and get a special PNC meeting set and get some building permits issued for this season. and also get started on detention ponds and other things that we need to get done. Andy is more attuned to the day-to-day information, and so I'll turn it over to him to present the news.
Yeah, and a lot of this packet that I sent to the city stemmed from the P and Z meeting. However, he voiced that he had concerns with the pressure, the water, the fire flow and everything, and he wanted to just voice that the analysis that we've been working with Banner shows that a full build out of Grant Park and Phillips Crossing won't have a negative impact on the system, and for safety purposes, that shouldn't be an issue.
So if I understand correctly, when you submitted that report, the dates were June of 2021 and it was based on a model, right?
The new one that we just sent?
I don't know, I didn't have time to, the one that we got Friday or the one that you?
Friday, yeah,
Okay.
that's up to date. That's current.
What were the dates that those meters were read then? Because I don't know if we saw that. Did we see the date?
Yeah, there was that existing one from 2021 and then a new supplement. One
Oh, because we haven't
yeah.
talked
The
about
month
that yet.
of, the month of October, basically 9/29 through.
Okay.
And that's the PSI 61?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's
so-
the one that Minnehaha Water
Yeah.
did? So, yeah, because Ryan and Nate went out there and they did that.
Yeah.
So, okay. And the one question I was trying to find answers to is if you have the adequate PSI, how do you measure volume? What is the proper engineering process to measure volume? Because you can have PSI, but once you have all those houses pulling off of the pressure of the water, how do you know that you have enough volume because you have several dead ends in the development? If it was a loop, volume wouldn't be an issue because it keep running, but it's not, there's a dead end. So how do we measure and get confidence in the volume of water that will marry to the PSIs? Because it's my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong here, it's 60 PSI now, but there's only like, what, 7 houses there. When you have 15 houses, there's gonna be more pull, which will pull on the pressure as well. But more so, it's a volume issue as well as a pressure issue. And so I spoke with the fire chief last night, and he was gonna circle with Ryan to make sure that the measures, when you do 2 fire hydrants, it still meets the minimum PSI requirements. And so I know Ryan's working on that with the fire chief. And so I just haven't really gotten a straight answer on volume. So how do we go about
So
doing that?
that's that question that you asked this week of the fire chief and Ryan?
That was, I asked, because I'm trying to understand it, because I'm not an engineer.
Okay.
And so I asked the fire
We
chief.
We can't respond, we're just hearing about it now either, and we're happy to,
well,
we're happy to work
But
with
Barry,
them, anything else
there was
that
a
they need.
statement in your letter that said that you had the fire department of Baltic approve and say it was sustainable. So I called the fire chief and say, can you help me understand that? So that way I can make sure everything's okay.
Right, and we did.
And that's with the fire flow analysis.
Right.
Okay.
And so I asked him if he had gone and actually done that. And what he had said is that the only thing that they've done is, randomly 3 times a year, they check fire hydrants. And so he had not checked any fire hydrants, to my knowledge.
Okay, good.
So when the fire department said it was okay, I was just vetting with the chief that that was indeed studied. Or if it was just, oh yeah, we're fine.
No,
So that's what I was trying to uncover.
Yeah, they ran the numbers, and that's what.
The fire department ran the numbers or Banner did?
Banner did.
Okay.
And they.
With the full build out.
With the full build out.
The volume that would be required.
Was that based on calibrated actuality or was it based on a model?
Calibrated.
Well, when you figure out, like, if you do 1 hydrant and you measure it against
I'm
a.
looking at theirs again, I'm also not an engineer.
Right.
They've got all of the potential units on the map showing the pressure at each unit.
Was it marked as calibrated or was it a
I
model?
think one part we're at right now too, I haven't got that fully reviewed yet as well.
Okay.
So that's.
So yeah, so
I
maybe it's best not
But
to.
Sure.
one thing that we will ask is that is signed by a licensed engineer. So one thing I did notice in review that was prepared by a EI, so engineering training, nothing wrong with that, still knowledgeable. But we will want that reviewed and signed by a licensed engineer from Banner if it's gonna be presented to the city. So I think that's one other step, in getting some of this information validated. Not only am I doing my review, but
Sure.
on Banner's end too, we ask that these documents are provided by a licensed engineer.
And we can have that, so
Yep.
you ask for the signature from
Yep, just have it signed and sealed by a licensed engineer, which every document up to this point has been. This one I saw that, so that's just gonna be one ask that we have that can get under process. Like I said, I'm still reviewing it. We received those documents on Friday. I just wanna make sure I'm thorough on my review too. Just as, you know, it didn't take one day to create that stuff, it's gonna take more than one day to review it. One other thing we noted in some of those provided documents, you guys provided a priority list on lots that you guys wanted to get built. One of the big caveats that has been talked about is detention basin in the northwest corner of Grant Park.
Yes.
So I looked at that list and compared those lots that are affected by that basin. So there's 15 lots on that priority list.
Great.
All but 5 of them fall within the northwest basin. We haven't seen any final design on that detention basin, just a preliminary design that was done back in September.
So, and
So that's
we
gonna
can
be-
respond to that maybe.
Yeah.
We talked to Banner and we will have that.
by next Friday, they can have a final design to you
Design.
guys.
Wow, that's great.
And we've got
That's
Metro
great.
on schedule to start it and get it done.
That's
But
even better.
my question is, once we do get it to you, Justin.
Yep.
What's the length and review that you'll need? So
I would
that we
say
can
it's
get-
probably a couple day review by the time we get into it and review it. Obviously,
Yeah,
I've been putting all the stuff in priority.
yeah,
Sure.
And I'll do the same, you
Okay,
know, so it's not one of those things we'll drag our feet on, we'll,
sure.
you know, try to do
Yeah,
that
so we're trying
priority
to
as well.
get
So
everything scheduled so we can keep that moving.
that's one of those things too, so we're reviewing the fire flow right now. I should hopefully have, you know, responses back to city, you guys, Banner shortly. And then that other caveat will just be the detention basin, review and analysis.
sure.
So those are really the 2 big caveats. So,
I
you know,
think, but you're
even-
crafting a response so that way we can kind of
Absolutely.
move forward with the memo, which is basically the
Yep.
spine of this
Yep.
discussion. And so then once he has that response, we'll get that to you straight away so we know exactly where we're at, what's been checked off, what's still in play, what needs to happen. So as soon as he has that, then we can probably have another quick discussion and then figure out where we're at so we can figure out when it's appropriate to have that special meeting.
But I would say without that detention basin, we're, you know,
Right, and-
even if the
and
fire
we
flow
can't-
analysis
we can't do it.
showed
Yeah.
everything perfect.
Understand the
Which
chicken
I'm
and
not
the
sure.
egg, that if we don't get clearance to do it and commitment from the city that we're gonna get the building permits, you know, so I think, again, we're all on the same team here.
I think
We're
so,
all
too.
trying to get in the same place. I think we're in a good position to do that. And, we vow to you to continue pushing that up.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
I had a question. Art, is this the area where they're gonna loop the mains together? Is that
What do you
area
mean?
you're talking about?
No, this is a detention pond that we're talking about.
Are you talking about the water, Jerry?
Yeah, you're on the water.
It's kind of both, we're kind of doing both of them, so this is, the water is a different kind of talk, I think.
Yeah, it's a different conversation. The detention pond is what we're talking about because we need to accommodate, the developer needs to accommodate water flows going off of their property. And so there was a detention pond in the northwest corner that was strongly advised to have to be able to keep that water there so it's not going downstream at such a rate because of the development. And so it's a standard engineering, ask. And so they're in the process of getting that done so that way we can move forward and make sure that all of the erosion control, that's a step in the
I guess I was
erosion
still back
control.
on the water pressure thing.
Yep, and that's one of the things too, is like with the water pressure, we put a sensor up there to check the water pressure. And that's one of the things with the pressures there. Now it's just the flow thing, which would be entailed into that looping of the system. So as I say, with one thing right now too, and this is, I guess the board probably hasn't seen this graph.
Mhm.
So there's a point up here, one of the hydrants, and I think Metro was up there today and have it fixed. I never verified it later today. But I actually had to open up a hydrant and flush it. So when this gauge was reading, this hydrant that I was flushing is about 2 blocks away from the, hydrant with the pressure gauge on it, and so if you'd say, if you're up there and I open up a fire hydrant full, that development or that section dropped down to 22 pounds of water pressure. So you would say that I'm stealing, if we flush a hydrant, we're stealing water from wherever we can get it. Or if the fire department uses it, I'd say just without that looping full, so. So if at Phillips Crossing, you're at the end of the line where all the water has to go from 6th and Lovely all the way around to that, you'll notice it probably.
No showers.
But that's more to come.
Yeah, so when we get all that information, then Justin will do a response. And then we'll get that over to you guys, figure out where we're at. And again, it's all about checking off the easy stuff, getting that off the plate, making sure we have all our Ts crossed and our Is dotted. And at the end of the day, it's what we all want. We want the homeowners to build a home, because I mean, they're gonna be investing hundreds of thousands of dollars in these homes, and we just wanna make sure that they
Chart
have.
earlier.
Oh, thank
showed
you.
Which, well, that chart, and the chart earlier, the pie shows obviously what each of those houses is gonna do for the city and everything else. So to be clear on our part,
Mhm.
Justin has the ball, so to speak, as
Correct.
far as that goes, okay?
Yeah.
And we will respond.
To a degree.
Okay.
So I have the ball on the water side. I would say the other big thing that we're waiting on is that detention
This is
basin.
detention basin. Okay, so we
Yep,
have that
so-
ball, you have that ball, those are the two balls we need to move forward.
Jeffrey,
What, do we get a, like, tentative timeline, you think?
I'm, was really hoping for today.
Sure.
The afternoon tomorrow's a little booked. I would say Wednesday, Thursday. Right.
but that's
Thursday.
that time's about right with you guys. We'll be crossing.
Yeah. hopefully
Crossing the wind,
we'll get- Yeah, we'll be passing balls to each other.
That's
Will that be-
perfect.
Is there, will that be all done with next planning and zoning community?
That would be the goal.
Done?
That'd be great if we could do that.
And there's one scheduled in 2 weeks
Yes.
from tonight.
It would be a Wednesday night.
Wednesday night, 2 weeks from
Mhm.
tomorrow. right?
So it would be very
Yeah.
reasonable if we can, get,
26, I believe. I saw it.
So if we got everything done by then, they could potentially allow the building permits, and then it would still need to come back in front of you.
P and Z handles that, don't they?
I think.
We're the ones that voted to stop them, so that was not brought to council.
P and Z would have to make a recommendation either way.
We didn't make a
Everything is
recommendation to
done.
council though. We didn't make a recommendation to council though.
Right, and I guess that's what I would ask, if, council could
P&Z
make a
could
recommendation to P and Z.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
so yes, P and Z can turn them back on.
Okay.
Yep.
So if
Okay.
everything is done in that time frame and you are asking for the permits, and you're pushing that as your priority, what kind of time frame are we looking at for the detention ponds completion?
We want to get,
We want it to be in this fall. We want to,
by,
as soon as we get them approved, we've got contractors lined up to put it in.
and that's why we're,
We've got that part of
We
the
do,
planning
we
done.
absolutely.
Good to hear.
they're lined up sooner rather than later, and so we don't wanna push it down, and so that's why I guess the urgency
Sure.
for getting it going.
It's
If-
good, it's
if
good to
it-
hear everybody's on the same page.
Absolutely.
On the same-
100%.
Our goal is to have everything done by the beginning of the year.
And our goal is to make sure that all the homeowners have basic services at a level that they expect for the, for the investments that they're making.
Sure.
Yep, that's perfect. Anything else?
Along that same conversation, I was at a meeting recently where our school board was represented by our superintendent and 2 members, and they had some concern with a ticket item that was on the list from the state, having to do with work that needed to be taken care of on school property. Has there been any communication from the development or your team with our school to take care of that?
We've been in communication with the school, and we're in coordination, and they're waiting on the state to determine whether that ditch that's in question is an official wetland before they want any movement in there, and that's taken a lot longer than what they anticipated. And so,
Good to know.
but I talked to Bob, superintendent,
Yeah.
and the school's attorney. But Bob was saying that they're having a meeting tonight, and they're having a conversation to make sure, they haven't heard from the state and going forward with that, but yeah, we have communication with them.
Is that Rodney Freeman?
Rodney.
Yeah, yeah, okay, sure.
Perfect. Thank
Good.
you. Any other
He can
questions?
call me anytime.
Appreciate the update.
Any other questions? Okay. Any other questions from the council? Okay, perfect. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, so on to new business. Now we talk about lot 74, and we're gonna need to go into a quick executive session for legal counsel. Would be the reason. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to stop the recording, keep the camera on, and then we'll be back in just a little bit to convene about that. Oh, and we need to note, it's 8:25. Can I get a motion to go into executive session?
Make a motion to go into executive session at 8:25.
Second.
And so then we got exec with Ryan, and then Nikki, and then all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, 8:25 it is. Recording is stopped.